approximately in the middle of the page Mem Hey. The line begins with the word makor. So we are saying that the similar aspects that we have identified, we spoke about at the tzimtzum, at the first tzimtzum level, and after the tzimtzum there was a rishimu, and that rishimu is the nekuda. It incorporates and represents everything that will eventually surface. You say that the Atzilus is contained in this nekuda. This is after the tzimtzum for Ayin Sof. The nekuda actually has everything that the Ayin Sof itself has, but it is in a very contracted manner, not in his pashtus. And from this, and the purpose of this nekuda, the function of this nekuda is that this facilitates that there should be worlds. Because as we pointed out many times, one of the principal aspects of world is that there is a source and a hamshocha. Ayin Sof does not have a source. This is the infinite reality. There is no such thing. There's no Therefore, it is that the kav, as we said, the kav is nimshach from the nakuda, and that enables worlds, because the world has to have, as we mentioned many times, has to have these two states. He has to be able to orient in these two states, present and not present. Being that it is all hamshocha from the nekuda, therefore, prior to the hamshocha, there is no presence, and the hamshocha brings a presence, and that enables the idea of worlds. And the similar inyan is further down in the actual, at the point of creation of worlds, of the real worlds, of worlds, the ultimate state of world, which is biyah. And what enables biyah is Atzilus. Atzilus is similar to the nekuda of Shema. It is also essentially representative of Ayin Sof, but it has the element that it's megala, that which is contained in the Ayin Sof before the Atzilus, and therefore Atzilus. This is why Atzilus we refer to as a world, because in effect in Atzilus there are 10 spheres. In Ayin Sof you cannot identify. There is no world aspect. There is no content, identifiable content. In Atzilus we have already the Atzilus. There is a what's called a seder hishtalshelus. How does Atzilus come to be? There is a chokhmah that connects and recognizes the inyan from the Ayin Sof, and then from this chokhmah is drawn bina and all the other spheres. Therefore, Atzilus is called the memutzah. Memutzah means the intermediary between the Ayin Sof and worlds. I want to focus on the principle of memutzah that we should not misunderstand. The memutzah, even though it gives worlds what worlds are able to take. so to speak. Sphira is Chochmah, Bina, Das, and so forth. But the important function and effect of the memutzah is not the Chochmah and Bina Das that it provides for world. Rather, that it brings Oirein Soif into world through this process of the memutzah. I really would like you to understand this because this is an important aspect. Bechlal. This is similar to what we said lately, repeated many times. That there's a Rav and a Talmud. Mashpia Mekabel. Mashpia Mekabel. What is a significant element in the Mashpia Mekabel? Not the content what the Mashpia is teaching the Talmud. It is the relationship. The reason that what the Matamid, what the Makabel it receives from Mashpia, the reason it has such profound significance is due to the fact that he's receiving it with the Mashpia. Not what he's receiving, but the fact that he's receiving it from the Mashpia. And because so what's so significant about that? Because the Mashpia, he has the total realization, the total reality. Therefore, through that, to that hashpah, the Makabel relates to total reality. He's giving him much more than meets the eye, so to speak. When he is telling him Ayin in Torah, are you teaching him anything? He's not telling him here, this is how it works out in your world. He's telling him this is how it is all the way in the top, from the beginning on. And it translates in your world this way. This is memutzah. Memutzah is connect the top and the bottom, not it just transmits information at your level. This is why the Gemara says, we all know the necessity of his kashrus to our Rebbe. Why such? You learn Atzilus. His kashrus, because if you don't have his kashrus, you're missing the whole point. The whole point of the mashpia is that the mashpia has he connects to the reality itself, to the godly reality itself, and this is why it's significant what he teaches. Okay, this is reflected in many aspects. I don't want to go into it. From time to time we mention various things. Just one that since we're going to Atzilus ha-memutzah means the helem. Ha-memutzah means it brings the Ayin into the helem. Not that it gives the helem what they are able to take. Okay, so I think we pointed out to the line begins makor, right? So it all repeats itself. Makor le-olamot. Obechin as ha-chochmah, and the aspect of chochmah, shehi reishis Atzilus, which is the very tip, the beginning of Atzilus. Harei hi reishis bechinas ha-Ayin ha-eloki. Thus, Chochmah is the very tip, the very beginning of the aspect of Ayin ha-eloki, of the godly Ayin. I'll come back to these terms. Liyaz b'bchinas makor le-olamot biyah. And it is The Ayin ha-eloki that formulates itself in a manner that it should be, that have the Ayin for makor le-olamot. It should be a makor for world. Bivchinas makor. In other words, not that it becomes a makor inadvertently, but this is its definition, this is its function, so to speak. Ayin ha-eloki that comes, the ratios of Ayin ha-eloki that comes in a form that should be makor le-olamot biyah. What is all of a sudden Ayin ha-eloki? This is the principle that we just now explained. A memutzah is not a breaking point. A memutzah means it brings that which is l'maylo to the matter. This is the Ayin ha-eloki. The Atzilus brings to Ayin Ayin ha-eloki. What is the term Ayin mean? It's not new to anyone, but in this context, world without a definition has no presence. The only in the world is that it has a definition, has a function, and so forth. Elokus does not have that requirement. Elokus, the truth of Elokus is an essential truth. And this is what's called Ayin. It is true in and of itself, not because of its expression, not because of its functionality and so forth. Chochmah, the Atzilus, this is the ratios of Ayin ha-eloki that can relate to become a makor le-olamot. How is this Ayin ha-eloki that comes into Chochmah different than the Ayin ha-eloki that precedes Chochmah? And this is the point that we made. The Ayin ha-eloki precedes Chochmah, it has everything, but it's all the helem, because the Ayin element is what prevails there. The eloki element. It comes in Atzilus, and in Chochmah is also Ayin ha-eloki, because Chochmah, everything that Chochmah perceives, it perceives it only because there is the elokus element. But it perceives also that there is a content in this Ayin ha-eloki. I don't want to go back, but we have discussed it just again. I always try to refresh our we always are abreast, we always know what we're talking about. So the moshel for Chochmah, it's not a moshel, it's really a demonstration of Chochmah. I say that Chochmah is b'bchinas re'iyah. It's like sight. Now in sight, we have two aspects, two distinct aspects. On the one hand, in sight, you observe the entire panorama in an instant as a single entity. You don't observe it piecemeal, 1 mile at a time. You observe it as the entire panorama. So you see the total unity, the total reality of it all. That's how you observe it all in one instant. But you observe the panorama. You observe there's a big expanse of space, and there are many, many things in it. That's a chokhmah. That's what chokhmah. That's listening for chokhmah. Yes, it observes the entire truth and that's why it is in one instant. But it also recognizes and relates to the entire truth, also via its content. As we pointed out many times, I don't want to lose you, I want you to understand this. An interesting phenomenon in our own experience. If you go into a room that's empty, totally empty, you can't surmise its size. Generally speaking, a room that's empty appears to be smaller than it is. There's nothing to see. And as long as I could see all the dimensions, the furthest wall and so forth, it looks pretty small. You come into the same room and it's furnished, it looks many times more bigger. Even though you're still looking at the room from a chokhmah, from a side perspective, at a glance. But in this glance, you incorporate the entire panorama, all into content. That's chokhmah. And this is why chokhmah provides a makor lebiyah, because chokhmah has the entire truth, the godly truth, but it also provides to the message that in this godly truth there are qualities, there are spheres. Like in our marshal, there is furnishings. Or in the panorama, when you observe a panorama, you don't observe just neutral. Everything that's in there carries a message. Even though we observe it in one instant. This is why Chokhmah is, on the one hand, it's a ha-eloki, because the reason I said you observe all in one instant is because it's all one thing, all one reality. You don't observe it cumulatively.
What did you want to bring out with the perception of me without furnishings is that it's smaller?
That Chokhmah comes into focus when it recognizes all the content.
And before that, it's higher than Chokhmah?
Before that, right, before that you don't experience a Chokhmah element.
Just a really stupid question. Where do all these things come from? In other words, we say Ayin Sof, it's beyond. Then all of a sudden Chokhmah starts to sense all the content. Where does that content come from?
Okay, this is a broad question which we're not going to go in the full conclusions, but just at our level, in Nefesh HaOdam. The Nefesh HaOdam, as it is experienced by us, as we have it in our moyach, in our chokhmah, it is not merely a godly spark. It's a godly spark with a function, with a purpose, to give life to the guf. To give life to the guf, you need to have 613 different koiches. Otherwise, you can't give life to the guf.
Mm. So already, when there's an impetus to create worlds, that includes everything that's going to be.
That's right. That's right. And that surfaces first after the tzimtzum. The whole tzimtzum for the purpose is to reveal worlds, and there you can see, okay, there is content, because he wants to have a world. What kind of world? Infinite world, but world.
But the content derives from that impetus to create worlds.
Right. All right. Okay, let's continue a little bit. So Chokhmah is the Reishis ha-eloki, the beginning of the Ayin-eloki, so that the Ayin-eloki is moving towards becoming a makor biyah. What's the the emphasis on the reshis. Again, the similar in that we said before in memutzah. The term reshis is extremely important. Reshis means the initial. We say reshis is the beginning. A better word for it is initial. Why? Because initial implies that there is an initiator. What initiates it? It's initiated by something higher than itself. So that actually, yes, this is the chokhmah, but the chokhmah senses what initiates it. That's a AyinBase. It's a rotzon eloki to be megala and to create worlds. So it's a rotzon eloki that initiates the chokhmah. That initiator is the essence of chokhmah. This is going back to all the various things that we Mashpia Makabah mentioned and so forth. The most important inyan is who initiated where it's coming from, rather than what do I have.
You're saying that's what reshis implies. Reshis implies the initiator.
Right. The reshis means the initial. Initial
From
implies that there is an initiator.
Got it.
The Hagam, the Atzilus moved al be'erech mibiyah, although the Atzilus is separate from biyah, be'erech, now it's separate in terms of comparison. There is no correlationship between Atzilus and biyah in terms of their madrega. Mikol mokoim, yet still, harei ze bibchinas shaychus libiyah. Nevertheless, the Atzilus has an element that it has a shaychus libiyah. It is moved in biyerech, but it can relate to it. And as we explained, what is the shaychus libiyah is that in Atzilus there is already the inyan of content. Whereas in my Atzilus everything is helem. Biyah, world. The definition of world is gilu, is content. Like, how does a table find its place in the world? The little pieces that put it together. Not its concept. This is how it comes into the world. Atzilus has an shaychus libiyah because it really has content. Sha'areihu b'bchinas memutzah. Since that Atzilus is b'bchinas memutzah, is an element, is in that state of being a memutzah, that means that it can relate to biyah as well. Gam yesh loima. It is also possible to say, now what's in terms of defining Atzilus. Atzilus, I think we mentioned in the beginning, Atzilus is an elusive principle, elusive concept. On the one hand, it is a lakus, on the other hand, it is world. It is world within the reality of a lakus. But the lakus and world are two very different things. So that's what the Rebbe says, Gam yesh leimer. It is also possible to explain Atzilus. Sheyesh ba'atzilus gufa beis madregas. That within Atzilus itself there are two madregas. V'hainu, meaning to say, Bechinas hu Atzilus mitzad atzmo. The Atzilus, the Bechin of Atzilus mitzad atzmo, as it is unto itself, Masher Shayach Libiyah, and then within Atzilus, that part that relates, that it has a Shayachas to Biyah, that relates to Biyah. So therefore this becomes a little bit more definitive and definable, that there are two separate aspects. The Atzilus Mitzadatzmo, this is the Gilu, this is the Ayin, this is the ha-eloki, and then Masha Shayach Libiyah, this is where it becomes a makor Libiyah.
You said you were talking about the Rebbe, Mashpia. Is it similar to how it says that Moshe is an Ish Elikim, like he's a Ish, and he's also like his seichel is Elikus and his midos are more human.
Right. All right, I guess this will be it for today. Okay. Intermission. Tomorrow, mission.
We don't have a sponsor for this week's Fabringan yet.
Let's just eat the leftovers.
Yeah.
We'll all be responsive.
Did those videos play by you?
Can we do that?
Did the videos play?
Mikol